Morris Ashley says, let the games begin. Gukesh presses the clock. And this, dear friends, is the ambit recap of the day. Liren opens the game with knight to f3. And this is a surprise because he played e4 in game 2. And now knight to f3, Gukesh pushes his pawn to d5, and now e3 played here by Ding. He hasn't yet committed his d or c pawns. He can play c4 next, he can play d4 next. He gets up from the chair and goes to the resting area. Gukesh thinks for a bit and brings his knight out to f6. A normal developing move here. The best move, or you can say the most commonly played move here, is c4, striking in the center. Ding can then go b3, bishop b2, bishop e2, castles. This is a normal way to continue. But here he pushes his pawn to b3. This is more like the Queen's Indian setup from white side. Black generally plays e6, b6 if you are aware against d4. And again, Gukesh takes a bit of his time. Meanwhile, Ding removes his jacket and gets ready for the long struggle ahead. Gukesh is thinking about the various setups. You know, he can play e6 here, but he decides to put his bishop on f5 before going e6. That would mean his bishop would be then outside the pawn chain. Now, if you try to win this bishop with knight h4, then I still have bishop g4 move. So he goes bishop e2. And now one of the ideas that Ding has is to go knight h4. For example, if you go e6, he wants to win this bishop, which is why Gukesh plays h6. Now the bishop can drop back to the h7 square. And you have the move bishop a3. A slightly weird move because you are pinning the e pawn here. But it's very logical, and this has been played before by Anish Giri, Wesley So against Anish Giri. This is one game, and Hans Niemann versus Vidit Gujarati. Gukesh plays his knight to d7. In a way, he's just developing the knight, and maybe with the ideas of e5, but also you just put your pawn on e6, and if he trades bishop, you take back with the knight. Ding now short castles here. And will Gukesh go e5? Because this is quite an interesting move. He would then have to take on f8 with the king, but he goes just e6, which is a more measured approach in a way. And now when Ding captures on f8, which he does, you take back with the knight, not losing the castling rights. And knight takes f8, taken here by Gukesh. So for now, the position is very solid for black, but white has a slight lead in development, and therefore Ding hits in the center with c4. Gukesh has to make way for his king to castle, and the most natural way is to just play his knight back to d7, which is what he does. This is also the way in which Anish Giri played against Wesley So and managed to win that game with the black pieces. Now, knight comes out to c3, putting some pressure on the d5 pawn. Black is going to castle it out now here. Yes, so Gukesh goes short castles. And will Ding play d4 and play a normal queen's pawn position? No, he first takes on d5. And I think Gukesh will take back with the pawn. He takes back, e takes d5. And now white has a very interesting move up his sleeve, which is b4. And this is what Ding does. He wants to play b5 next to just clamp down these pawns on the queen side. So Gukesh goes c6. And now if you play b5, then black can go c5. Ding goes knight d4, attacking the bishop. This is very interesting. He could have also gone d4 and then with the idea of a minority attack with b5, but knight d4 attacking the bishop. The bishop drops back. It's very well placed on this diagonal. Does white want to play f4, f5, blocking the bishop, queen comes to b3. Now, with the queen here actively positioned on the queen side, white can play b5, but firstly, Gukesh goes knight e5. And his idea is to provoke f4. But Ding doesn't get provoked. He goes a4. And let's see what Gukesh does here. He brings his rook to c8. Fantastic move. Now, if you were to play f4, there is this move knight c4. Because after take, queen takes, you have maybe some pawn sacrifice with a5. For now, Ding goes a5 himself, trying to clamp down the queen side. But Gukesh strikes back. Now you understand the meaning of this move, knight e5, rook c8. He wants to gain counterplay with b6, c5 right in the center. Ding tries to now play a little bit conservatively. He goes back with his knight to f3. Knight takes knight, taken by Gukesh. Bishop takes, and now you can't really go c5 because the d5 pawn is a bit soft here. But Gukesh immediately goes d4. He's trying to clarify the situation in the center. If you take here, queen takes d4 would give black a very nice position. So knight goes to e2, putting pressure here. You can go c5 to save your pawn, but Gukesh takes on e3. And Ding takes back, d takes e3. Now you have quite a simplified position. The bishop on f3 is well placed. So Gukesh goes bishop e4, trading these bishops. It's a very nice move. And Ding brings his rook to d1, attacking the queen on d8. Queen e7 or queen c7. These both the moves look normal. Queen e7 played here by black, defending the bishop. Ding takes on e4. And now knight takes e4 played here by Gukesh. The knight is very solidly positioned in the center of the board, looking at the f2 square. Ding takes on b6. Gukesh takes back on b6. This has been a very, very solid game for Gukesh until now. He has made absolutely no errors. Ding has tried a bit with the white pieces, but hardly anything to get a tangible advantage. And if this is the trend with which this match continues, where Ding does not get much with the white pieces and then is put under pressure with black pieces, then that is advantage Gukesh. Knight takes knight. Queen takes knight, taken here by Gukesh. A small imbalance does still exist in the position, which comes from the fact that black has an extra queenside pawn and can at some point push his pawn to c5 and create a passed pawn, which is what Gukesh has done. He pushes his pawn to c5, but the problem is that there is so little material. If there was one pair of minor pieces, it would still have given black some winning chances. But because there are only major pieces left, white is very, very solidly positioned. BC, BC, and now rook c1 would just put the pieces here, stop the pawn from advancing. Yes, rook c1 played. Now the only thing that you have to be careful as white is, let's say for example, Gukesh now is looking to move his queen. He plays queen e5. Then white shouldn't fall for this queen trade because there is a deflecting move, rook d1, and the king has no escape and you lose the queen here. So that is a move that you have to be careful about. Ding Liren comes back. There's no chance in the world that he falls for such tricks. Queen c2. Again, the pawn is not hanging because there is rook d1 check, which is a deflecting move. And this typical tactic, so Gukesh can play g6 here or h5. He decides to play rook to d5. And this rook now defends the pawn on c5. g3 played by Ding. And Gukesh plays his pawn to f5. A slightly curious move, but I believe that he was not happy that e4 was coming in. So he played f5. King comes up to g2 for Ding. And now black can actually trade queens. Queen check, takes, and then rook e5. Black is okay here, but Gukesh goes king h7. He's in no hurry to trade anything and wants to just wait. Ding now plays his queen to c4. Let's see what black does here. Queen d6 played here by Gukesh. Pawn to e4. Rook to e5 played. He takes on f5. Black does play rook takes f5. And now queen e4, pinning the rook here. And black can just play queen to d5, trading queens. Yes, Gukesh does that. He brings his queen one step up, offering the trade of queens. Ding takes it. Rook takes d5. And I think very soon the players are going to agree to a draw. King f3. This has been an extremely solid performance by both the players, but definitely slightly favorable result for Gukesh because he was playing with the black pieces. The scores are tied right now, 1.5, 1.5. With this draw that is incoming, it will be 2-2 with Gukesh having the white pieces in the next game and chances to press check here. Now the king can go upwards, but then rook d2 attacks the f2 pawn and f4 is met with rook d3 attacking the g3 pawn. So Ding comes back to e3. He doesn't go forward. Gukesh comes back, defends the pawn. Ding comes up. And I think the players are now ready to repeat check. This is move number 40 already reached here. King e3. Rook d5. King e4. And check. And they agreed to a draw with a threefold repetition. A very exciting game there by both the players.